We are here. Good morning. Hope everyone's had a great weekend and is ready for an amazing week in front of us. We are live, active on. We are live on LinkedIn. Good morning, LinkedIn. We are live on Facebook. That's Facebook/Work on Your Game University. For those of you who are Facebook users, we are live on Rumble Studio. Has us broadcasting to LinkedIn, as I already mentioned. Rumble itself. Shout out to Rumble. Good morning. Good morning to everybody on YouTube. Good morning over there on Instagram. Good morning on TikTok. TikTok, like the live as y'all are coming in. We are allegedly live on X. Let me check and verify. Yes, we are live on X. Good morning, X. We are live over there. As y'all are coming in, shout yourselves out in the comment section. Let me know that y'all are in here. Let me know where you are checking in from. Give me your location as y'all are checking in on the lives. Please like the live on TikTok. We didn't get it to 1,000 likes yet. Get the likes up, TikTok. And we're going to get into what we need to get into here. Hope everybody had a great week and is looking forward to a great Monday. I'll introduce the topic, introduce myself, and we'll do as we normally do over here. So just shout yourselves out. Tell me your location so we can get into the proceedings this morning. Today's topic, we're talking about Target, by the way. On TikTok, they don't always show you all the topic. We are talking about Target here today. Target is been on a downswing for the last several quarters, and some people are claiming or asserting that this Target fall is because of Target's decision to abandon diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are going to find out if that's actually true. Does that actually make sense? Does that add up? We're going to find out if that adds up. And I'm just pulling up some information that we're going to use here in this conversation. So Target's been having some issues. All right, that's what we're going to talk about here today. By the way, Target stock price right now, $99.24 per share. And it's been experiencing a drop for a while, but we'll get into that when it's time to get into that. Tell me your locations as y'all are coming in. Let me shout a couple people out and we'll get into this. Let's see. Caricature Creations, good morning. First comment, congratulations. Murphy the Mutt, thanks for the live. Keep liking the live on TikTok. Get the likes up, TikTok, please. Murphy the Mutt, Bristol, Tennessee. Good morning to Bristol, Tennessee. Borderline Jackie, thank you for the follow. Nikki got the number 3 gifted badge. Good morning. Dwayne Mitchell, Detroit is in the building. Nikki from Connecticut, good morning. Caricature Creations from Orlando, Florida. Shout out to Orlando. Christine checking in from Charlotte, good morning. Perry Yu from Madrid, Nebraska. Shout out to Madrid, Nebraska. Shout out to Madrid, Spain, too. IT Burnout checking in from North Carolina. Good morning. Tell me your locations. Locations in the comments, folks. I'm shouting out locations. Then we're going to get started. SKSCTA checking in from Mississippi. Good morning. Ashley Matt from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Shout out to Fayetteville, Arkansas. I was just half listening, half watching the documentary on the Dallas Cowboys on Netflix. Those of you who are sports fans, I'm not even a big football guy, but that documentary is actually very good. It's a docu-series, whatever you want to call it, on the Dallas Cowboys is on Netflix. Have y'all seen that? And I'm bringing it up because Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, he's from Arkansas. So maybe it reminded me of Jerry Jones when I was listening to it. I'm probably on like episode 3 right now. I'll just put it on 1.5. And mostly I'm listening to it. But it's actually a very good documentary, especially if you're a football fan. Jules from Northern California, good morning. SKS, thank you for the love you so much gift early. Big Shot from Connecticut, good morning. Ashley said, you're watching it too, super good. Yes, it is very good. It's a good documentary. 140.6 GM from Walnut Creek, California. Shout out to California. And all right, let's get into Art by C. Collins, Newburgh, New York. Good morning. Your TikTok is slow. Some of y'all have lagging issues on TikTok. All right. Shout out to everybody who has shout out to the options. That's why we got options. So if you can't find me or you got an issue on one app, follow me on another app. We're on 7 different apps right now. TikTok 1, Instagram 2, LinkedIn 3, X is 4, Facebook is 5, YouTube is 6, and Rumble is 7. Not particularly in that order, but we're live on 7 different platforms right now. So if you ever have an issue, catch me on one platform, or I get suspended on one of these platforms and just find me on one of the other ones. I have been suspended 15 times in the last year. And we're going to get into this thing about Target here today. So first of all, Target has now logged nearly 2 straight years of sales declines, and they are feeling pressure because they are a publicly traded company, and they got to answer to their folks. So here's the last 5 years target with the stock. Y'all can just look this up. Just look up, put the name of the company, put the word stock, and y'all can get this to come up in your Google searches. I'm showing it over here to this camera so y'all can see it over there on Instagram. And if it's red, that means it's going down. If it's green, it means it's going up. So as you can see, Target's been going down for a while. They were actually in a good space around the spring of 2021, summer of 2021. Target stock was worth $261 a share. It has fallen since then to only $99 a share. So Target's in trouble. All right, that is since, again, that was the summer of 2021. And in the last year, it looks like steps. All right, steps going in the wrong direction. As you can see, they've been dropping a lot in the last year as well. So Target's experiencing some trouble with their stock price. And when there are issues with the stock price, often the stock price is sometimes it can be a leading indicator, meaning telling you that some bad things are on the way, or a response to bad news, or it could be a trailing indicator, meaning it's letting you know something bad has already occurred. And often it's a combination of both. So a lot of things that go into this stuff. And when this happens with a publicly traded company, the board of directors says we got to do something, because the board of directors are often closely connected to the people who are actually owning the company. It's a public company, so whoever owns the most shares, usually people who have the most shares of the stock usually have some say in who goes on the board of directors. For those of you who don't understand that lingo, the people who own the shares are people who buy into the company. So they have the biggest ownership stakes in the company. For example, Elon Musk has the biggest ownership stake in, for example, Tesla. And let's say Steve Jobs had a big ownership stake in, let's say, Apple back in the days. Now, whoever owns the most, usually they either have a seat on the board of directors, which I'll explain in a second, or they have a say in who gets appointed to the board of directors. What is the board of directors? For those who don't know, those are the people who basically make the decisions on what happens at a publicly traded company. So, and it can be a private company. They can have a board of directors too. Any of you can have a board of directors. So a public company, they have a board of directors. Those are the people who are appointed. They get appointed to the board. That gives them leverage and power to have say in what the company does and what the company does not do. So like we were talking about last week with Cracker Barrel and how they've been going down, and people had all their opinions about the changes that Cracker Barrel is making to their brand image and the insides of their stores. The board of directors has something to do with deciding that that's going to happen. They had something to do with it. I'm not saying they made the whole decision. They hire the CEOs, by the way. For those of you who don't understand, the board of directors, they decide who the CEO will be, and they can fire the CEO. They can hire a CEO. They basically choose the CEO. So any of you who had the idea that the CEO is the owner of a company, that is not necessarily true. Sometimes the CEO is a majority stake owner in the company, but oftentimes they are not. So Target's board of directors needs to do something, because that board of directors is directly connected to the owners. Why does that matter? Because the owners, I just showed you all, Target is losing money. So if you own a whole lot of Target stock, so let's just say this time last year, August of last year, Target stock was worth $156 a share. Now it's worth $99 a share. That means you lost a percentage of your money. If you own 10 shares at $156, now those same 10 shares are only worth $99. You lost 50% of your money. Is that 50%? 50% of your money. Because the stock price went down by 50%. Is that 50%? Well, we'll just say it went down by a third, actually, from $150 to $100. Actually went down by a third. So you lost a third of your money. And if you have a whole lot of your money tied to a particular company, usually you're a big owner, and or you have seats on the board, at one or more seats on the board that you control. You're like, damn, I'm losing my money. There's a problem. Let's do something about this. That's why Target has to make changes. That's why all companies make changes when they're noticing problems when it comes to their stock prices. People put a lot of their worth. When you hear people talking about net worth and this person's worth this much money and that much money, that is not cash that people have in the bank. It's usually tied up in assets that they own, companies, for example, or shares that they own in a company. Those shares are worth X number of dollars because Elon controls X percent of Tesla. And we know Tesla stock is worth this much money. You can just do the math, and you know that Elon has a worth on paper of at least this much money. Multiply the price of the stock by how much stock Elon owns, and this is what, and now you can not guess, but actually estimate at least how much money he's worth. This is not actual money. Now, technically he could sell shares, but that would affect a whole lot of other things. So this is what it means when you hear people talking about net worth. It's not they have this much money sitting around in the bank or down in the basement like Scrooge McDuck. Anyway, Comparable sales for Target. Back to Target is the topic here today. Their sales fell 5.4% in quarter two of 2023, 4.4% in quarter four of 2023. And this has been going on for a couple of years. That's why I'm going back to 2023. Fell another 3 to 4% in quarter one of this year. And foot traffic, I guess they count this, they have dropped, their foot traffic has gone down for 11 straight weeks. Early this year, their foot traffic went down for 11 straight weeks. So fewer and fewer people are entering Target stores. That doesn't necessarily mean that something's wrong, because I order from Target about once a month. I place a big order with Target that costs me about anywhere from $200 to $300, and it's all home goods stuff. So stuff that people who take care of the house take care of. So paper towels, laundry detergent pods, dishwasher pods. I don't even know. I can't even remember what all this stuff is. There's a whole lot of stuff. Let me go on my Target app so I can tell y'all exactly what I ordered the last time I ordered from Target. I'm bringing this up to say just because foot traffic's down doesn't necessarily mean that something's wrong with your business, because I order this stuff. I don't actually go into the store. So where's my orders? My last purchase history on Target. Target's app is actually a pretty good app, by the way, just to give them some credit. Paper towels, baby wipes, or just wipes. I guess they're not baby, just wipes. Wipes, what is this? Dishwasher detergent, laundry detergent, hand soap, dish soap. What else? That's a lot of stuff. Bath tissue, or toilet paper, as you may call it. Dishwashing liquid soap, all-purpose cleaner, another all-purpose cleaner, laundry detergent, already mentioned. So all of this stuff, this order was $227.41. I ordered this without ever setting foot in the Target. So just because their foot traffic's down does not necessarily mean something's wrong with the business, but this is all part of a bigger picture cluster of what's happening with their business. So their revenue missed Wall Street expectations. Target's revenue was $23.85 billion with the letter B, second letter in the alphabet. And that is short of Wall Street's expectations. So y'all want to understand how big of a business Target is. They brought in $23 billion, and that's less than what Wall Street expected. And when you don't hit the expected numbers, then that causes investors and the market to say negative things about you. And the market is all about people's perception of you, and do they feel optimistic or pessimistic about your business, and this leads to changes in stock price. So all of this is part of the bigger picture here. The company cut its guidance multiple times, and actually I'll get into that in a second. And shares are down over 30% year to date. I already told you that. So the CEO of Target is a guy named Brian Cornell. He's going to step down next February. So he's got about 5 months on the job. He's going to quit. And if a CEO decides to step down from a company, they don't step down because they want to. Most of the time they step down because the board of directors said, "You're not doing a good enough job, Brian. We're going to go in a different direction." All of you heard that phrase before. We're going to go in a different direction. So you need to announce that you're stepping down. So in other words, Brian got fired. He did not just decide to walk away. They fired him, but instead of just coming out and firing him, which will make him kind of look bad or embarrass him, they decided to allow him to save face. And you can make it seem like you're walking away when you're actually getting fired. So Brian's getting fired. He's walking away. And analysts and Target's own executives point to three main buckets of problems. This is what people are saying. They're saying that there's macroeconomic headwinds. In other words, there's just other things going on in the economy in general that is affecting Target, because Target's part of the economy. That there are operational missteps. There are definitely operational missteps. Anytime a company's having problems like this at this size, it's mostly operational issues. It's not surface level issues, stuff that y'all can see on TV or on your phone screens. It's operational stuff that they can fix on the back end that will give them better results that we, the everyday person just looking at Target, won't even know about unless they announce it or somebody writes a book about it. And some are saying that there's political backlash because of Target's position on diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's going to be the main focus of what we talk about here today, amongst other things. But the main focus is Target's fall off. And I mean, again, this is a company bringing in $23 billion in revenue, falling off. There's levels to this shit. Is Target's fall off because of their position on DEI? We're going to get into that here today. So everybody understands the background where we're coming from. That's just the intro. For those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete. I've written a bunch of books. I run this company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. Main thing that we focus on over here is teaching people how to command the room with your presence, your energy, your aura. Before you say a word, even if people don't even know your name, they don't know anything about you. Just as soon as you step in and they feel your presence, they have a certain position and a certain perception of you. I teach people how to do that through performance, discipline, accountability, and putting systems in place. You can learn more about working with me and working with what we do here, Work on Your Game Incorporated, or going to the link that you see in my profile or links in the descriptions or comments or in my bio on different apps. There are different things, but there's links to all our stuff on every app on which I'm speaking right now. By the way, I am live on 7 different platforms right now. So you see me looking at different camera lenses because I got different cameras on me right now. We are live on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, LinkedIn, and X all at the same time. So the replays to this will always be on my YouTube channel. So if you miss anything, you can always check the replays on YouTube. Whatever app you are watching this on, please like the live stream, whatever mechanism they have for liking the posts. Just go ahead and like the post, especially those of y'all on TikTok. Like the live. We're at 16,000 likes on TikTok. We need to get to 20K, folks. Can we get to 20,000 likes before I get into the material? While I'm waiting for y'all to do that, tap the screen to like the live on TikTok. All you got to do is tap the screen. You all use phones. You tap your screen 20,000 times a day. Y'all can tap the screen a few hundred times here today while you're watching this to get the likes up. Just to explain to you all the format of what we do here, I go through the content, which is me just sharing with you all what it is that I'm going to say about this position, what I like to do in case any of you don't understand. I try to look at both sides of the conversation. Even if I have a strong opinion on one side or the other, I will still make the point on the other side. Or if I'm neutral to it, you'll feel that, you'll understand it. I'll tell you both sides' arguments, what their argument is on either side. Then I'll tell you what I think about that argument. And I may add context. Actually, I'm not may add context. I will add context to my opinion on the perspective, and I give pro and con sides. Then after I go through all of that, we open the floor up for a conversation, and the conversation is me reading your comment out loud and then me responding to what your comment is. So that's the conversation. So this is going to be the content first. Then after that, we have the comments. That's when I read your comments and actually respond to what you say. If you want me to see your comment, especially those of you on TikTok, you might want to wait till I get to the comments part so I can actually see your comment. Because if you leave a comment right now, I might not see it by the time I get to the comments because y'all know the feed goes so far that TikTok doesn't let me scroll back to the very beginning if it's too many comments. By the way, do not spam my comments. Do not post the same comment 15 times. I saw it. If you post it twice, I probably saw it. I will read it and I will respond to it. Do not troll my comments. If you spam or troll my comments, I have moderators in here. They will block your ass and you'll be out. And that'll be it. There will be no warnings. That's the warning. I just gave it to you right there. Everybody got that? Any questions? Good. Let's get to it. So, conservative backlash in 2023 had a problem with Target because those of you remember Target leaned into BLM. They leaned into pride. They leaned into the DEI, LGBTQ. They leaned into all the progressive, quote unquote, woke stuff. Target leaned into all this stuff. And people started boycotting Target. This is people on the political right, conservatives. They started boycotting Target. They started protesting in front of the stores. Target lost money in market value. And it showed that brand politics can immediately hit sales. Y'all saw this happen allegedly with Cracker Barrel. We'll see. Bud Light, I remember they had that whole campaign with this guy, Dylan Mulvaney, was a man posing as a woman. And people had a problem with Bud Light with that. And this was the first crack in Target's growth streak because Target was actually going up consistently for a long time. And then when they leaned into this is around 2020 into 2021, a lot of companies didn't know what to do or what not to do. And a lot of them did things that they didn't know how the market was going to respond. The problem was because in 2020 and 2021, we know what was happening then. Of course, we had the virus, but that wasn't the big thing. Well, actually, that was a big thing. That was a big thing because companies that you had to go into the business to buy stuff, a lot of people just weren't leaving their houses. And even if you did leave your house, there was all these restrictions and 6 feet apart and putting the mask on and the jabs and all this stuff. It affected any business where people had to physically show up to your place of business. So if you had a restaurant, that affected you. You had an event space, it affected you. You had a bar or a club, that affected you. You have a place like Target where people like to go in and walk around and spend time and touch stuff. Now, remember, in 2020, this affected a lot of things that were high touch, and especially that involved people. So Target was affected in 2020 because of the virus situation. And at the same time in 2020, you had the summer of social justice. That's what I call it. I'll always call it that, the summer of social justice. You had the Breonna Taylor thing. You had the George Floyd thing. You had the election of Trump, incumbent Trump versus newcomer, quote unquote, newcomer Biden Harris. And they were making this election all about two things: the response to the virus and the racial tensions happening in America. So a lot of companies decided to take a stand, especially after the George Floyd thing. And everybody was talking about it. And BLM got all this attention and took in a whole bunch of money that they gave to the LGBTQ community, by the way, if you didn't know. And big companies like Target had to say something. These public companies had to say something. Even private companies had to say something. Target decided they were going to jump onto basically the woke side of things. Let me define woke, because every once in a while when I mention woke, somebody says, well, define woke. Definition of woke. Let's just pull it up in the dictionary so that we're all on the same page. Because I'm an absolutist when it comes to definitions of terms, meaning what that means is we go by the definition in the dictionary. What exactly does the word mean? Definition of woke. I've read this definition like each time in the last 3 days that I've gone live, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern, by the way. Definition of woke: aware of and actively attentive to important societal facts and issues, especially issues of racial and social justice. So very aware and very attentive to important societal facts and issues such as, and especially, race and social justice. So Target decided to jump in on the woke side, meaning let's make sure everyone knows that we are on the side of people who believe there is not proper justice racially or socially. So this is when they went and did the BLM thing. They have buy a product from a black-owned business owner, and they're going to frontline a black-owned business owner. We're going to create a section just for black-owned products that people can go buy and support black people, because buying a product from a black person being sold at Target shows that you care about George Floyd dying in Minneapolis, which makes no sense, but they did it. And this is what publicly owned companies do. This is what publicly traded companies, this is what they have to do. They got to do this kind of what I call virtue signaling. They did a whole lot of it. And some people were very happy about this. A lot of people who agree with the woke thing, or they align themselves as being woke, aware and actively attentive to important societal facts and issues, especially of race, racial and social justice. People who are on the woke side were very happy with what Target was doing. So they were saying, yeah, Target, 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 Target. They were planting the Target flag. Now, a bunch of people on the conservative side didn't like that because they were looking at it logically, like, again, okay, this black guy in Minneapolis died, and it looks like he died at the knee of a white police officer. Okay, that happened. What the hell does that have to do with you all putting up the BLM fist and going all in on BLM when BLM clearly was a scam? I think everybody understands that now. It's been 5 years. They actually came out in 2013. BLM was a scam. And now y'all are going to align yourselves with this organization because of George Floyd. But again, what sense does that make? It doesn't actually make logical sense, but it makes emotional sense. And Target being a publicly traded company, sometimes they have to go with this stuff. So a lot of people on the conservative side were mad at Target. And they said, well, we ain't messing with Target anymore. But then the people on the liberal side said, or the woke side, they said, we're going all in on Target because it's doing the thing that we want them to do. Here's the problem. The problem when you do something like this and you draw clear lines of delineation in your audience, because Target was a place that people on all sides used to go before Target decided to plant their flag on the subject. The problem that Target faced, and I understand Target's issue, I understand their situation. The situation is in the summer of 2020, because people were so emotionally riled up over what happened with Mr. Floyd in the summer of social justice, that when you are you don't even have to be a publicly traded company. Just if you're out there, there were many people who are not publicly traded businesses who they felt the need to say something. They felt compelled to say something, do something, take a stand, make a statement about everything that was happening. And a whole lot of companies did this. Every company did it. That's very well known. Damn near every influencer, every person who's out there with an audience, everyone was demanding that somebody tell us where you stand. Where do you stand on this whole situation? The problem that Target faced was that they had to say something, and no matter what they did, they were going to face backlash. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you're jumping on the woke side, then the woke people will be happy. The problem is you're going to piss off the conservatives. You're jumping on the conservative side and say, we're staying neutral. Even if you stay neutral, then the conservatives would have said, good, don't jump into this. But the woke people would have said, how are you going to act like you don't know what's happening? Target, by the way, is based in Minnesota. Their home base is in Minnesota. So how are y'all not going to say anything? And they would have got a lot of backlash from the woke people and a lot of backlash from the media, because the media tends to lean to the left. They had to do something, and it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Target was put in an impossible position, and they ended up doing what they did. But let's continue. We didn't get to the rest of what happened. What happened after that, actually, we'll get to that later. So Target had a growth streak going on up until that time, and then when they had to make a decision, they had to say something. They ended up, I don't know. You can decide what you think of what they did back then, because we're going to get to the rest of it, and then you'll understand their conundrum. They were in a no-win situation. So here's what happened in 2024 going into 2025. We all know what happened in November of 2024. Donald Trump wins re-election. So Donald Trump's going to be the 47th president of the United States of America. And when Donald Trump won that election, it was a loud and clear signal from the American people. That's all of us, whether you voted for him or not. It was a signal from all of us that we as a country are going to scale back on the woke stuff. All right, you don't have to virtue signal woke anymore. You don't have to stand with BLM anymore. You don't have to have a black square, black fist on your profile anymore. You don't have to pretend to be going along with LGBTQ anymore. You don't have to pretend that a boy's a girl or a girl's a boy. You don't have to do that anymore. It's okay to just stand up for what you believe in, say it out loud, because clearly the majority of the voting public in America said, we're going with this guy who clearly isn't with any of that stuff, this guy being President Donald Trump. And companies started to respond to this. This is what happened in late 2024 going into 2025. Someone put the comment, woke people. Yes, woke people. I just gave a definition of woke. Aware of and actively attended to important societal facts and issues, especially issues of racial and social justice. Yes, those are certain people call themselves that. Very aware and actively attentive to societal facts and issues when it comes to racial and social justice. That is the definition of woke. So if you define yourself that way, you are woke. So woke people. Yes, that's exactly what I said. Okay. Now, when Donald Trump wins in 2024, we know what started to happen. A lot of companies started to make pivots. If you don't remember, this is around the time that Facebook said, this is Mark Zuckerberg. Y'all remember Facebook's owner, Mr. Zuckerberg, was at Donald Trump's inauguration. I remember Donald Trump's inauguration where you had Jeff Bezos and his wife with the breasts. They were out there. Hold on one second. All right. Jeff Bezos and his wife with the breasts. They were out making sure that they were seen. You had Mark Zuckerberg was there. There was one other person there. Who else was there? Elon Musk was there. But it was this somebody else that I'm forgetting? It was somebody else who was there at Trump's inauguration. Somebody remember that name. Who was it? But anyway. And someone said, who calls themselves woke? I see people walking around with T-shirts that literally say woke on them. So we're not from the same places. But yes, I see many people calling themselves woke. Anyway, continuing. A bunch of people came to Donald Trump's inauguration and these social media platforms like Facebook, because Mark Zuckerberg came out, and not him, but Facebook came out and said, we're no longer going to have fact checkers. We're at Tim Cook from Apple. Yes, Tim Cook was there. We're no longer going to have fact checkers. We're going to do more community notes. What was the purpose of him saying that? Purpose of him saying that, as they went on to explain, and I agree with this, is that you can't have fact checkers for anything these days because facts can be picked and chosen. And you can conveniently leave out any facts you want to leave out and conveniently check, quote unquote, check any facts that you want to check. But you could not check a fact if you don't want to check it. So just because somebody is fact checking does not mean they're giving you all of the facts. This means they're giving you the facts that they want you to know about, and they're checking the facts that they care to be checked, and they're ignoring the facts that they don't care to be checked. You want to see an example of this? Look at the presidential and vice presidential debates in 2024. That Donald Trump and J.D. Vance got fact checked on certain things that they said. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz did not get fact checked on anything that they said, even though they said things that were factually untrue just as much as the other guys did. But the moderators, quote unquote moderators, decided which one's the fact check and which one's not the fact check. That's why the very concept of fact checking is nonsense, is why facts don't matter anymore, because people can pick and choose which facts to pay attention to and which ones to ignore. Mark Zuckerberg said, we're going to go to the community notes option instead of fact checking. What is community notes? It is allowing the group, the masses, to say what's true and what's not true and weigh in on it, rather than having any individual person be the arbiter or the ombudsman of what is factually true and what's factually untrue, which is nonsense. Because again, whoever that person is, if they lean this way, they're going to fact check things that lean this way. And if they lean that way, they're going to fact check in a way that goes that way, which is why the whole concept of fact checking is nonsense. And again, I just gave you a couple of examples. This is one shift that we saw after Trump won in 2024. By the way, let me be clear on the record that had Kamala won in 2024, this would not have happened. Had Kamala won, Facebook would not have shifted to, we're going to get rid of fact checking. They would have kept doing it. They would have tripled down on it. And this is what you have to do. Again, when you're a publicly traded company or you're a big behemoth like Facebook, Apple, Amazon, you got to see which way the wind is blowing, and you got to go with the wind. And this is one of the trade-offs of owning big companies like this. is that the administration that's in charge, they can play a big role in how well, or they can play a big role in what happens to the future of your business. This is the reason why, for those of you who don't understand, why Elon Musk got involved in politics. Why did he jump in on the Trump side? Because Elon Musk comes from Silicon Valley. I mean, his upbringing and his come up in business is what I mean. I know he's not from there, but he comes from Silicon Valley. That's where he built everything, Silicon Valley. Those of you know anything about Silicon Valley, it ain't conservative. Silicon Valley is the furthest thing from a conservative place you will ever see. And Elon Musk built his business over there. So what the hell is he doing running with Donald Trump and MAGA and becoming conservative all of a sudden? He told you this. If you listen to him on the Joe Rogan show, he said that the Biden administration was starting to come down hard on him and they were threatening the future of his business. And the White House has the power to do that to big businesses because they can change a couple laws and regulations here and there, lay down some rulings here and there, executive order here and there, and they can basically destroy a company, a big company, in a way that can't be done by any other entity. And Elon Musk said that the Biden and Harris administration was starting to look into my company and they were looking for ways they were basically trying to take me down. That's what Elon said, in his own words. And because of that, he said, damn it, if Biden wins this election, or Biden, which later became Harris, wins this 2024 election, they're probably going to follow through on what they're threatening to do to me. I'm in trouble. This is going to destroy my company. So he said, I can either try to appease them and do what they want me to do, which is hurting my business, or I can jump in on the other side with Trump, go all in on Trump and bet big that Trump wins, and that'll save my company. And we all know what happened. So those of you who don't understand the context of why Elon got involved in politics, that's why. And after the 2024 election is won, Target, along with many other companies, said, well, actually, first Donald Trump comes out and says, we're getting rid of this woke stuff. We're getting rid of DEI. We're getting rid of this LGBTQ push. We're going to go back to just being straight up and down the middle. And whatever you feel is how you feel. And you can have your opinion. You can say it out loud. I'm paraphrasing, but this is the energy that Donald Trump's election and his subsequent speeches put forth to all of the United States. All of you understand this. And we know that this happened because, case in point, Target announced we're dropping all our DEI stuff. We are no longer going to be pushing DEI. We're no longer going to be pushing these DEI policies. We're going to go back to just playing business straight up and down the middle. That's what Target announced. Target announced that in early 2025. So this sparked backlash from the progressives. If you don't want me to call them woke people, we'll call them progressives. They're generally the same people. And it sparked backlash from them because people were mad. And some of Target's consumers are LGBTQ people. They actually identify as LGBTQ. They were mad because Target said, we're no longer going to frontline LGBTQ. Some people who are BLM supporters were mad because Target said, we're no longer going to frontline BLM. Well, actually, stop frontlining BLM ended in like 2021. People realized they were a scam. But then they also said, we're no longer going to frontline DEI policy, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which we know is about identity. It's not about diversity of thought. It's not about equity of, no, it is about equity of outcomes, which makes no sense. It's impossible with human beings who are imperfect. And we're no longer going to frontline this concept of inclusion, which is putting people in a room just because we want them to be in a room, when you actually have to earn your way into a room in business, as in sports, as in anywhere competitive in life. So when Target comes out with all this, a bunch of progressives pushed back against Target and said, well, we're going to boycott Target. We don't like Target, talking shit about Target on social media, etc. You know, the things that people do when they don't like what they're hearing. So the idea is Target pushing back against all of this stuff, or deciding to drop the progressive talking points and the progressive processes. This pissed off a whole bunch of their customers. This is the idea. Pissed off a bunch of their customers. Those people stopped buying from Target, allegedly. They're urban and diverse shoppers, diverse, quote unquote, shoppers. Diverse, if y'all hear diverse shoppers, what that means is non-white people. So anybody who's not white and heterosexual, those are the diverse people, according to the language that people use these days. It pissed off all the diverse people, and they decided to stop shopping at Target. So here's the problem that Target faced, in case any of you is not putting two and two together. When they went progressive and woke in 2020, because they felt like they had to, they pissed off all the conservatives. Then when they decided to drop the DEI, BLM, LGBTQ stuff in 2024, they went the other direction, and the conservatives were happy, but they pissed off all the progressives. So no matter what they did, they were pissing somebody off. This is the problem with trying to appease the crowd. Target was to hire me as a consultant If I had to boil everything I have to say down in one sentence, I would tell the executives at Target, stop trying to please the crowd. See, when you try to please the crowd, you please nobody because the crowd is too big. And the crowd changes their feelings every 10 minutes, depending on which way the wind is blowing. Y'all can't do business that way because y'all going to piss somebody off no matter what you do. And you're going to end up screwing yourselves, which is exactly what Target has done, which is why Target's stock price, Target stock performance looks like this over the last 5 years because they keep trying to appease the crowd. You cannot appease the crowd. The crowd is not appeasable. For those of you who don't understand, the crowd is unappeasable. And I'm not saying that because any of you is going to go start the next Target. All right, if you get followers on the internet, you have fans on social media, the crowd is unappeasable. If you make decisions trying to please the crowd and say things that you think everybody's going to like, you're going to end up screwing yourself more than you please them. Because once people realize that you're going to shift and capitulate to whatever their feelings or emotions are in the moment, they're not going to respect you, even though they may be listening to you. And this is the mistake this is the actual mistake Target made. Now they got to fix it, but this is why this happened. So the question is Target down because they went against DEI? Based on this framing that I just gave you, my answer is I don't think so. I strongly push back against Target coming down because of DEI. Why? Because Target pissed off the conservatives first, and they were already on their way down. Target's been going down for a while now. After they pissed off the conservatives, they started to go down. Then they pissed off the progressive. They went down even more. So they are going down, not because of actually, it could actually be true, depending on how you want to language it, how you want to look at it, that they are going down because of DEI. It was when they supported it, they went down, and when they dropped it, they went down. So no matter what they did, as soon as they touched DEI, they went down. As the saying goes, go woke, go broke. All right, this is what's happened with Target. They went woke, they went broke. They dropped woke, they're going broke. They got it, and when I say going broke, doesn't mean they're going out of business. So supporters say DEI controversies are only one piece of the puzzle. So I guess that would make me a supporter. I don't call myself a supporter of Target. I'm a customer. But this is only one piece of the puzzle. Macro factors, tariffs, they very much affect a company like Target because they import a lot of goods and they import a lot of goods. They bring in $23 billion in revenue. That's a lot of sales. And any product that gets tariffed and the cost goes up, then their margins get down. The margins is the amount of money that's left over between how much you pay for the good and how much you sell it for. Their margins got smaller because the tariffs got bigger. Inflation, higher costs for them. High interest rates, meaning it costs them more money to borrow money. All of these things are doing damage. We can't just put it on one thing. As I explained when I was talking about Cracker Barrel this past Friday, these companies, these big businesses that have all of these locations and do all this business, Target is a much bigger business than Cracker Barrel, is they have multivariate situations. If Target is doing well, it's not because of one thing. It's a multivariate reasoning behind why they're doing well. If Target is doing bad, like they are right now, and they're going backwards, that's a multivariate issue. It's not because of the CEO. Now, why is the CEO getting fired, you may say? CEO gets fired because the CEO is the one in charge. They're the person in leadership, and the penalty of leadership is if things go bad, everything is blamed on you. That's just the way it works. Y'all follow sports. The sports team is losing. Who's the first person to get fired? The coach. Now, is the coach the reason the team is losing? Probably not. Sometimes the coach may be the reason, but often the reason the team's losing because the players are just not that good. But they can't fire the players, so they fire the coach. This is the way it works. If a country is not doing well, what's the first person that gets blamed? The president. Now, is the president the reason the country is doing bad? Sometimes, yes, and oftentimes, no. It's often the legislature, it's the court system, it's the people in general, it's policies that have been in place for a long time, it's things that happen in the world that the president had no control over and didn't make happen. But all the blame and backlash falls back on the person who's in a leadership position. So any of you who has ever been in a leadership position can co-sign what I'm saying. And any of you who has never been and one day you aspire to be, understand that this is part of the job. Part of the job of being a leader and being a person who's everybody knows and everyone wants to shake your hand and your name is on the door and you get the big bucks. The trade-off of all of that is that if anything goes wrong, everybody's blaming you. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you're the leader. This is the way it works. This is the way human dynamics work. It's the reason why we choose a leader, so that we have, if there's a tough decision to be made and nobody wants to make the decision, because human beings tend to be slow in decision making, we look at the leader and let them make the decision. If things go wrong, then guess what? We blame the leader. See, this is the way that human beings absolve themselves of responsibility. Let's put a leader up top so that anything goes wrong, we just blame it on them. And if anything needs to be done, we just wait for them to do it. That's the penalty of leadership. And Brian, is his name Brian? What's his name? Yeah, Brian Cornell. He's the one who's going to be stepping down in February. So he's technically still working right now. So good morning, Brian, if you're watching. Good to see you. He is the one getting the blame for this, even though he probably is not the reason why they're going down. I would say if I had to put a percentage of it, the reason Target is where they are and how much would I give to Brian, I give him maybe 10%. The other 90% has nothing to do with Brian. But Brian understands the game. You step in as CEO, things go wrong, your head's on the chopping block. All right, this is it. He's King Henry VIII. All right, guillotine to his neck. Why? Because he's the CEO. That's the way it works. So all of these things, tariffs alone force higher prices and pressured margins. Everybody knows what a tariff is, right? Yeah, I heard Donald Trump talk about it. Tariffs are basically extra money you have to pay to import goods. So if I import goods, let's say I sell chapstick, and I import my chapstick from Brazil, and I got to pay $1 for every stick of chapstick that I bring in from Brazil. Donald Trump introduces a tariff on this chapstick, and he says you got to pay a $1 tariff for every one you bring in. So if I'm paying $1 already to bring this chapstick in, and I sell it for $5, that means my margin is $4. That means every time I sell a stick of chapstick, I make $4 in profit. So let's $4 in, let's just say margin. Let's just call it margin for now because I don't want to go too deep here. $5 to sell it at retail. I spend $1 to bring it in. So $4 profit margin, every time I make a sale. But if Donald Trump comes out and says, I'm putting a $1 tariff on every single one that you sell, now every time I sell one, my margin has shrunk from $4 to $3 because now I got to pay $1 for the stick, $1 for the tax, that's the tariff, and now I still sell for $5. So now I'm only making $3 margin, and you may say, well, Dre, you're still making money. All right, why is that a problem? Here's the problem. Because with that $3 or what used to be $4, I had to pay for my equipment. I got to pay for my trucks. I got to pay for my marketing. I got to pay for my labels that I put on this chapstick. I got to pay for my ads. I got to pay for my website. I got to pay all my staff. And when I was making $4 a stick, I was able to actually take some money home after I paid for everything. Now, if they reduce it to $3 a stick, I'm not taking any money home. I'm actually losing money. And when I got to report that to Wall Street and the market, they start saying, uh-oh, Dre's company is in trouble, and people may start pulling their money out. They put negative forecasts out about me as a negative story. Jim Cramer on MSNBC is trashing my company. Now my stock price starts going down. Now my CEO got to get fired, even though they have nothing to do with this. This is how it works. Everybody understand this? These are kind of things that happen when this is a multivariate problem. You see how all of these other factors, I'm the CEO, Donald Trump puts on a tariff. Now our margins are smaller, and now 6 months later, I'm getting fired. What the hell do I got to do with Donald Trump putting a tariff on our product? Answer is absolutely nothing, but I get fired anyway. So, and let's say I decide, okay, we're going to keep our profit. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep our margin. We're going to raise the price. Instead of selling this chapstick for $5, we're going to sell it for $6. The problem is our customers won't pay $6. They'll pay $5. They won't pay $6. So when I raise the price, we lose sales. So that leads to Wall Street trashing me, Jim Cramer talking bad about me on MSNBC. And either way, we're screwed. This is what happens when you're in leadership. All right, sometimes things happen, and no matter what you do, you're screwed. And your ability to navigate the political landscape of this determines whether you'll be successful or not. But numbers are numbers. All right, the math is mathing. So this DEI seesaw by Target, that's what they did. They did the DEI seesaw. So they went with it, then they went against it, and they pissed off everybody in the process. So now they have a no-win position, as I already explained. They're bleeding customers from both ends of the spectrum because they made the stupid decision of jumping in the first place. They should never jumped in the pool in the first place. That's what they should have did. If they had a leader and a board of directors that had some damn balls, they never would have made this mistake in the first place. So here's the second thing I would say to Target if they hired me as a consultant. All right, number one, you put yourselves in a no-win situation. Number two, you idiots put yourselves in a no-win situation because you didn't have any damn balls from the beginning when y'all should have said, we're not getting involved in this. We sell home goods. We sell dishwasher detergent, and we sell watermelons, and we sell clothes for 2-year-olds, and we sell paper towels, and we sell electronics, and we sell books, and we sell mops and brooms. We don't have a damn thing to say about George Floyd and the cops and white people and black people or LGBTQ. We're just going to sell you home goods. If you want your home to be clean and neat and you want your kids to have clean underwear, come to Target and buy stuff from us. Don't ask us any questions about this nonsense. We ain't getting involved. My name is Bennett and I ain't in it. That's what Target should have did, but they didn't do that. Now here we are. Target got involved and they decided to plant their flag and start saying, hey, we're on this side of the conversation. That was a foolish move. They're too big. You can't do that. You can't do that when you're that big. Now, if they were a smaller company and most of their customers are progressive or woke or LGBTQ or liberal, whatever you want to call these people. Everybody knows what I mean. The left side of the aisle. they could have did it because those are their customers anyway. And if all your customers are on the right side of the aisle, they're conservative, they are white, they are heterosexual, they are Christian, whatever you want to call these people, the right. Everybody gets what I mean. They could have said whatever they wanted to say then. But when you have customers on all sides, you're only going to piss people off when you come out trying to virtue signal. That's what Target did. Target was a virtue signaling. And you know that they were virtue signaling. What's virtue signaling mean, by the way? Virtue signaling is when you come out and make a show of showing everybody that you're on one side or another side of a conversation as a way of appeasing the audience. You're basically trying to show off to the audience, look at us, we're on this side of the conversation. That's called virtue signaling. Let me see if I can get a full definition of virtue signaling. That's my definition of it. Let's see if there's a definition. So it's not actually in the dictionary because it's a phrase, not a word. But the virtue signal, according to DuckDuckGo, is the act of publicly expressing opinions or stances that align with popular moral values, often on social media, to demonstrate one's good character. That's virtue signaling. Target decided to get into the virtue signaling game, and they screwed themselves in the process. So they deserve everything that they're getting, whether you're DEI or not. I don't care about DEI or pro-DEI, anti-DEI. Forget about that. Target's mistake was deciding to virtue signal twice. They virtue signaled by getting in on the DEI. Then they virtue signal by getting out of the DEI because they got out of it because Donald Trump won. That's a virtue signal too. Let's be clear, conservatives. All right. Them deciding to drop DEI because Trump won is a virtue signal just as much as them deciding to get in on DEI after George Floyd passed. They were both virtue signals. And see, if you start changing up your tone based on what the popular thing is in the news or the popular thing in the zeitgeist, you are playing yourself by virtue signal. It was a virtue signal then, is a virtue signal now. And as soon as you virtue signal, you are playing yourself. And again, Target deserves this. This is what Target is dealing with right now. Their stock price in the summer of 2021 was $251. Their stock price now is $99. Any of you knows anything about the stock market, that's a hell of a loss that Target's taken over the last 4 years. Why? Because they decided to virtue signal 2 times. So they earned their situation. Now, again, there are other factors involved in this. It's not just the virtue signal. Virtue signaling sounds fun, but that's not the only reason. Again, tariffs that got installed by the president, inflation, costs going up, people's taste changing. Let's not forget about that. People's taste change. Not everybody's shopping at Target now who was shopping at Target in 2022. People just change where they shop. They get different products. Your kids grew up. You don't need the home goods anymore. Things change. So there's a lot of different variables that lead to this outcome. So even though it would be fun to just say Target's only reason for falling right now is because of their virtue signal, that would be unfair because it's not true. That's not the whole story. So inflation has shifted consumers towards essentials and value-based retailers. At least that's what I found people are saying. So everybody knows what inflation means. Let me be careful and not assume. Inflation just means the cost of things going up. Let's just call it that. Meaning what you used to pay $10 for now costs $12. That's inflation. And you got to understand, those of you who are maybe upper class or middle upper class need to understand that a lot of people are looking at the things that they buy and they are budgeting like down to the dollar. Like, this is how much I know I'm getting in my check. Here's how much we need to take care of food, clothing, shelter for the family. And if those prices go up, they have a problem, which means they might not be able to shop at Target anymore. They got to shop at Walmart. All right. Everybody get it? All right. Walmart stuff is cheaper than Target's in price, but it's also cheaper in quality. But if you have a set amount of money, you got to do what you got to do. So Target has, because of inflation, because they have to raise prices, and I've talked about this ad nauseum over the last year and more than the last year, but it's specifically in these live streams, that as inflation increases and the cost of things costs more money, the problem is that a lot of people, their money is not increasing as fast as costs are increasing. So if I used to be able to, let's say I'm running a family and I'm able to get by with my family on $250 a week, because that's how much money I'm making at my job. $250 a week, we can take care of the family. But now inflation means that same $250 doesn't go as far. So now we need $275 to take care of the family every week. But I don't make more money. I'm still making my same $250. But the cost is now $275. I'm $25 short. Now get it? I got a $25 shortage. Now what do? Okay, well, we can't eat out once a week anymore. So let's cut that. We can't shop at Target anymore. We got to shop at Walmart. We can't buy this high quality food from here. We got to buy some cheaper food from over here because it costs less money. So we start cutting costs so we can keep up. And our money isn't going up, but costs are going up. This is what happens when inflation hits, because most people, their marketplace value, i.e. the amount of money that you can make from your career or your job, is not increasing as fast as costs are increasing. So people are getting squeezed. So when I tell you that the middle class is about to disappear and you're only going to have rich people and poor people, that's not a fucking joke. Like, that's going to happen. And this is what happens with places like Target. Target, we may not call it a high-end store, but Target is not bargain basement either. Would you agree? We got need homemaker moms, stay-at-home moms. Can y'all co-sign that? Give me a co-sign in the comments if I got that right. Target is not necessarily high-end. It's not Gucci, but it also is not, it's not bargain basement at the same time. All right. Target is not cheap. It's not cheap goods. All right. Target is quality stuff, generally quality stuff. And it costs some money. And when people are not making as much money, they're making the same amount of money, but costs are going up. Some people just can't shop at Target anymore. They cannot afford Target. Now, again, for some of you who are in certain economic classes, that might sound silly. Like, what do you mean you can't afford Target? But it's a real thing. There's a reason Walmart exists. Walmart exists for a reason, because not everybody can just shop at Target. And you can shop at Walmart, but you can't shop at Target. It'd be a significantly different amount of money that you got to spend to get the same stuff at Walmart that you would get at Target. So as these costs are going up, Target is just losing customers simply because customers are priced out of buying Target. They're priced out. Target didn't do anything wrong. They just existed. And this is a real thing. So their stuff, they have higher margin discretionary stuff, like their home goods, their apparel. This has been hardest hit. So Target's biggest hits have been in things like, again, home goods and apparel, because Target's home goods and apparel, that's not cheap stuff. You can get that same stuff for cheaper at a Walmart or some bargain basement place, the dollar store. And some people can't go to Target. They got to go to the dollar store. They got to go to Walmart. So Target is just missing out on that customer now. And this is where they've been hit hardest. So rivals like Walmart and Costco are taking customers from Target, not because of DEI, not because of LGBTQ, simply because these customers cannot afford Target. And what is Target supposed to do about that? That's a tough question. All right, that's the reason why the CEO gets paid the big bucks, because if there was an easy answer, then they could just go on ChatGPT and get an answer. There is no easy answer. And I explained this on Friday when we were talking about Cracker Barrel. There's no easy answer here. Anything that has easy answers is a low-paying job. If there are complex answers that there's no quote-unquote easy right answer, those are the highest paying jobs. Why? Because most people don't want them. Why? Because no matter what decision you make, somebody's going to be pissed off, and there's a chance you might be wrong. You want a job like that? How many of you want a job like that? If so, you're qualified to be a CEO, because that's what it's like. Every decision you make pretty much sounds like that. There's a chance you might be wrong, which would be disastrous. And even if you're right, a bunch of people are going to be mad at you, and you're going to get trashed publicly. How many of you want a job like that? All right, you think you want a job like that until you get it. Now, Target's merchandising has missed the mark. So they had some overstock issues, meaning they had too much stuff and that they couldn't sell. They had to send it back. And their assortment didn't resonate, meaning stores felt out of step with shopper demand. There's another thing that happens when you're selling things that are based on aesthetics and taste, is that you might put stuff out and people just don't like it and they didn't buy it. Any of you who's an entrepreneur has been through this. You put out an offer or a service or a product or a program, and you thought it was going to be amazing. And the market responded by saying, it didn't really like it. And your product didn't sell. As an entrepreneur, I've had plenty of ideas and things that I put out, and I thought the audience would respond enthusiastically, and they didn't respond that well. And I've also had products where I thought, this is just okay. I might not even put this out. Then I put it out, and the audience responded overwhelmingly, and they loved it. You don't always know. We can't always predict how the market is going to respond. And this is the game of entrepreneurship. One of the things that you need to be an entrepreneur, you need two things to be an entrepreneur. Number one, you need a strong stomach, because there's a lot of uncertainty that you may deal with as an entrepreneur. And the second thing you need is some balls, big balls to be an entrepreneur, because you are taking risks. The very definition of an entrepreneur is a person who runs or starts a business entity while taking on greater than normal financial risk. And if you don't have the stomach to deal with risk, you don't have the balls to take risks, then go and secure yourself employment. But do not become an entrepreneur. This is part of the game. And Target is a publicly traded company, but this is still a business. And this is sometimes what happens, is that now everybody's talking about your failures, like I'm talking about them right now, because they made some bets that didn't win. Now, let's be clear. At the same time, Target has made some bets that did win. That's why they're Target. It's not like they're closing stores. They're losing money, but it's not like they're closing stores. All right, Target is still Target. Why? Because a lot of the bets that they made worked. So I don't want people to take this as just Target is a terrible company or something's wrong with them. They're still Target. All right, I still spent $250 there 2 weeks ago and will again probably in another 2 weeks. All right, they still are doing their thing. They can turn this around, but we just have to put everything in perspective. Now, supporters are pointing out the Target, and I just said this, got ahead of myself. They're still a $20 billion quarterly revenue brand. That means every quarter, every 3 months, Target sells $20 billion worth of stuff. How many of you would be happy if you had a business that sold $20 billion worth of stuff every 3 months? All right, that's Target. 20 billion with a B. And they have opportunity to rebound. They're going to have new leadership. And they want to try to re-anchor that price competitiveness. They got to figure that out. How are they going to do it? Again, that's the reason why CEOs get paid. How are you going to do that? So they have a size. They have the size to recover from their stumbles. Now, there's some mom and pop shop, and this was happening. They'd be out of business. Last week, they would have went out of business. Target, with their size and their reputation and their history, they have a chance to recover. We'll see if they do. Now, critics say that shrink and organized retail crime are also a drag. So for those of you who don't understand what that means, is that the majority of stuff that gets stolen from stores, retail stores, is not stolen by the customers. It's stolen by the employees. For those of you who don't know, that's actually true. Most of the stuff that gets stolen from a store like a Target or Nordstrom or your local 7-Eleven is not stolen by customers walking in, stealing stuff and getting away with it. No, it's stolen by the employees who work there. So when you have the security footage and you got the cameras watching people, all right, that ain't where most of your stuff's getting stolen anyway. Most of your stuff getting stolen by the people who are controlling the cameras. They're the ones stealing everything. They're stealing it out the back door. You ain't got no cameras over there, or you don't have cameras that are watching for certain things. That's where the stealing is coming from. So what's happened is, even with the regular retail stealing, like the customer stealing, what happened is a lot of stores start locking stuff up. Y'all been inside of a neighborhood, like a CVS or Walgreens and stuff, and y'all see they got everything locked up now. You want some deodorant, you got to call somebody, they got to come unlock it so you can get the deodorant and the shampoo. They start locking things up. Well, this makes it more cumbersome to shop. And some people just don't want to deal with that shit. Like, I don't want to have to call somebody to get some damn body spray off the shelf. So combine this with bad press, it creates this uninviting shopping experience because it feels like you don't trust me as a customer. And I've been shopping here for 10 years and now you got the deodorant locked up. Like, what is this? Makes me just not want to buy. Makes me go to Amazon and just buy my stuff off Amazon instead of coming to the store. I used to like coming to the store. Now I'm going to go to Amazon simply because I don't want to deal with the inconvenience of having to call a manager so I can buy some shoe polish or whatever it is that I'm getting from the store. These little tiny inconveniences, folks, drive people out of your businesses. And I talk about this a lot when I'm talking about service-based businesses because I work with a lot of service-based entrepreneurs and a lot of them drop the ball. Not them, the people I work with, but a lot of service-based entrepreneurs drop the ball on little things they don't even realize that they're messing up, and their customers are not telling them that they're messing up. So you don't even realize that you're losing money because you're unaware of the things that you're making mistakes on. And if you're unaware of something, you can't fix it. Target is very aware of this. I guess they decided that this is just the cost of doing business now because they don't want their stuff stolen from them. So we got to lock it up. So at least it's not getting stolen. The problem is you're also not selling as much of it. And then I say, okay, I'm going to just order my stuff off Amazon. I'm not even going to order from you because I don't like the fact you did this. I'm going to order from somebody else specifically because I don't like what you're doing. And customers will do that. Now, all of you have done it before. You stop shopping at a place where you like the stuff simply because you didn't like something that they did. You personally didn't like it. And you still bought the thing, but you bought it from somebody else. Why? Because they pissed you off. You piss off your customers, they will go elsewhere. This is a rule of business. Even if you didn't try to piss them off, but you did something that did piss them off. And another thing you got to keep in mind, folks, is most of your customers who are pissed off will not tell you that they're pissed off. About 5% of your pissed off customers will tell you that they're pissed off and they'll tell you what you did wrong so that you might have a chance to fix it. 95% of your customers, when they are pissed off, they will not tell you they're mad. They won't tell you what you did wrong. They won't suggest to you how to fix it. They won't give you another chance. They just go elsewhere with their money and you won't ever realize why they left. That's how it works most of the time in business. So executives emphasize that the company is cutting prices and that's going to cut margins, but that's what they say they're going to do. They're going to adjust their guidance realistically. They're going to prepare for a turnaround with fresh leadership. This could stabilize into 2026 if the macro conditions ease. So Target may do all of those things: cut prices, adjust the way they're doing things, and bring in this fresh leadership that may help with the turnaround, and it will give the market a chance to maybe look at Target in a different way. I want y'all to also understand something when it comes to leadership in publicly traded companies. As I've already explained to you over the last hour here, that a lot of times whatever is going wrong or right with the company is not because of the CEO. Now, the CEO, of course, will take credit when things are going great, same way the president takes credit when the country is going great, and then they'll blame it on somebody else when it's going terrible. Well, the president can do that. They'll blame it on the previous administration, right? Trump will blame it on Biden. Biden blames it on Trump. Trump blames it on Obama. Obama blames it on Bush. They all do the same thing. They all do this in politics. Now, in business, they can't quite do the same thing. You usually don't blame the previous CEO. If things go bad and you're the CEO, you just get fired. You step down, you get your golden parachute, and you're out of there. That's what happened. That's what's happened to Mr. Bryan at Target. He's getting his golden parachute. That means a whole bunch of money to leave, and he's fired. He's quote unquote stepping down. He got fired. Now, the thing is, even if the CEO comes in, the reason I brought the CEO is this. When a new CEO comes into a company and they come in with some fresh ideas and their fresh leadership, their fresh face, what happens is Wall Street, and Wall Street is the entity. As an entity, Wall Street may say positive things about Target if they like what the new CEO is saying. So if Wall Street says positive things about Target just based on the press conference of the new CEO, pay attention. They will put positive things out about him. Jim Cramer on MSNBC says positive things about Target. And what happens? Investors, who often make their decisions emotionally, not logically, will say, oh, well, they're saying positive things about Target on the news. You know what I'm going to do? Anybody know what happens then? Put the answer in the comments. What happens if the new CEO comes into Target and Wall Street likes him, MSNBC likes him, the market forecasters like this person, and they go say positive things about Target on the news? You know what happens? What do people do? Does anybody know what happens? Yes, there it goes. WUV Snoopy got it. Carla said stock price goes up. Yes, but why does it? Why does it go up? Yes. Ashley Matt. Yes. Alicia and Powers. Yes. So all you understand. People go buy it. People go buy the stock. So y'all may think when you not drive, but scroll past these channels on TV or on your phone, I guess, and they're talking about the markets. I never pay attention to this stuff, but that stuff matters, because if they're talking bad about you, people will pull their money out of your business simply because they heard something bad about you on TV. That literally happens. So some of you may think it sounds silly, but that's the way it works. If people are pessimistic about you for whatever reason, wherever they got the pessimism from, they could have got it from some random person on TikTok, they will go and pull their money out. So they have a bunch of shares in your company. They'll sell their shares, and it looks like people are leaving the company. That hurts your stock price. But if people are saying positive things about you and everybody wants to go buy the stock, then that will help your stock price. So this new CEO coming in gives Target a chance to get some positive headlines, despite the fact that their stock price is going down. This is one of the reasons why they do it. So again, Mr. Bryan Norvell, who's getting fired here, I would guess, if I just had to guess, I say he's probably not the problem. But he understands the game. The game is politically, and I don't mean government politics, I mean politically in terms of business. He has to go so they can bring in a new face, and the new face brings new energy, possibility for a positive headline. Positive headlines, rebounding stock price. Rebounding stock price, everybody says, well, look, Target stock price is going up. They must be doing good things. And guess what consumers do? They say, oh, I guess I got to go buy a Target again because it looks like they're doing well. Does that make any logical sense whatsoever? The answer is no, it does not. No logical sense. But this is exactly how it works. So by bringing in a new person, Target can fix their entire situation by getting customers to come back to Target, even though they didn't do anything different but hire a new CEO. And the CEO ain't doing a damn thing that most customers can even explain. This is the problem for Cracker Barrel, because Cracker Barrel CEO is getting a lot of bad press right now. You understand? CEO gets good press that can help the company, even though you changed nothing. CEO gets bad press that can hurt the company, even though the CEO might not have done anything. Human beings are not logical, folks. Human beings are driven by emotion, and they justify with logic. So this is the reason why people are saying, oh, Target's falling off because of DEI. No, they're not. So investors remain unconvinced. Shares are down more than 30% this year, as I already explained. Wall Street sees weakness in foot traffic and doesn't expect an easy or a quick recovery for now. That's the reason why they fired Bryan, and they're going to bring in this new person, whoever the new person is, and February of 2026. If they sound good in the press conference, then Target could solve not all of their problems, but a good amount of them just off that alone. Again, why does that make any sense? Well, the answer is it doesn't. Welcome to life. All right, this is how it works. The more people you get involved, the less logic will be involved in the conversation. This is how it works. In case any of you didn't know, now you know. So now I told you I was going to get through the content. Then we're going to get to the comments. What I do need to do, though, before we do that, is I need to take a restroom break. So let me run to the restroom real quick. Then we will get to the comments. Everybody wait 90 seconds. I'll be right back. Please get the likes up to 50,000 while I take this quick 90-second restroom break. And then I'm going to get to everybody's comments. Give me 90 seconds. I'll be right back. Here we go. This is my favorite part. The comments is my favorite part. I like the content too. I mean, some people try to every day. I usually get a criticism in the comments. Somebody says this guy loves the sound of his own voice. I do love the sound of my own voice, but I like the comments even better. So, all right, before we get into the comments, let me lay you all. I already gave y'all the ground rules. Do not spam my comments. Do not troll my comments. And what is this? Okay, so a couple of things that happen over here is that we have some logical fallacies people like to throw out. If you throw out the most common logical fallacy is known as a straw man, then I'm going to play this sound if you use a straw man. Strawberry cheesecake. If you use a straw man, those who don't know what a straw man is, a common fallacy when someone misrepresents your argument, they change up the wording of what you said or what they think you said or what they think you think. Then they present it to you in the form of incredulity, ridicule, or a question, or just a statement of sarcasm. If you do that, that's a straw man. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to do it today. So when someone does that, you're going to hear this sound. Strawberry cheesecake. Mary said, I already saw a straw man comment. Yeah, I just didn't get a chance to read them yet. Now, if you make an appeal to, no, excuse me, if you do an ad hominem is when you attack a person instead of attacking a point. So if you say something personal about me instead of actually about the point that I made, that's an ad hominem. Use the ad hominem. You will hear this. Is that like a personal attack or something? Let me say it again. Play it again, just in case you didn't hear it. Is that like a personal attack or something? Okay, that's the ad hominem. If you use the appeal to ridicule, in other words, you try to be funny, but you're actually not funny, and it's fallacious at the same time, then you will hear this. I like your funny words, Magic Man. Let me play it one more time. I like your funny words, Magic Man. And if you actually make a good comment that is solid and of sound, logical composition, then I may give you some credit and give you this. All right, so I'm glad we found these sounds. This makes it fun. All right, are we ready for this? Everybody understand the rules? All right, let's go. So Trizzy says, now fact checking is wrong. LOL. Right on time, everybody. Strawberry cheesecake. One more time. You get two because this is the first comment that I read. Strawberry cheesecake. I didn't say that fact checking is wrong. I said fact checking is highly subjective. And anybody can pick and choose which facts to check and which facts not to check. That's the reason why facts don't matter. So, Trizzy, nice job. Straw man of the day. Very first comment, straw man of the day. Congratulations. Daddy Dot says, so, Uh-oh. Anytime you start a comment with the word so, that means you're about to rephrase what I said into something that you said. That's a problem. Daddy Dot says, so you're claiming the whole business is failing because of quote unquote woke. Did I say that, ladies and gentlemen? I think I spent at least 20 minutes explaining that that's exactly not what I'm saying. But Daddy Dot says that's what you heard. Strawberry cheesecake. Strawberry cheesecake. All right, so I'm glad we're getting these out of the way. This is fun. Green Eye Tigress said, that's so true. Thank you. Teresa Valerie said, oh, please. I don't know what you're saying, oh, please, to. I would give you one of these, but I don't know what you're responding to. Dean Danger said, Kamala and Walls were also fact-checked. Okay, we'll just leave it there. Lil Jen said, you clearly didn't listen to the debates. I did. A Weezy said, you guys really tuned in for this shit, LMAO. Well, why are you leaving a comment, A Weezy? I like your funny words, Magic Man. So, when I say they weren't fact-checked, let's clarify. The amount of fact-checking on one side was not equal to the amount of fact-checking on the other side. Okay? There we go. Teresa said they didn't fact-check 34 felonies. Is that like a personal attack or something? How is it that I just, on a surface level, mentioned Donald Trump and y'all just going all in on this? Is that like a personal attack or something? Lil Jen said, he quoted, fact-checking is nonsense. Did I say that? I probably did. And yes, there's a reason why I said it, because it is nonsense, because you can pick and choose when to check a fact. Rick Willis said, Kamala says, stay woke, always stay woke. Yeah, well, Kamala's woke right now. Woke and I guess promoting her book. Kamala's going on a book tour. Do y'all see that? Kamala's going on a book tour. Any of you going to go get your book signed by Kamala Harris? She's actually coming to Miami. I saw this tour. The last date on her tour is she's actually going to be in Miami. Now, will I actually go to this? No. But I wonder what store she's going to be at. This would probably be a pretty big store. Kamala's a star. She is pretty famous. So even if you don't like Kamala Harris, she is going on book tour. And she will sell a ton of books. And she will sign a lot of books. So let me see if I can find out where her book tour is. Any of you going to Kamala Harris's book tour? So she has a website. Her book is called 107 Days. It's about her 107-day failed campaign to win presidency. She wrote a book about it. This is common. Everyone who runs for president writes a book. So I'm not knocking her. So her tour is starting Wednesday, September 24th. So about a month, she's going to be in New York, the town hall with Barnes & Noble. Then she's going to be in Philly. Then she's going to LA 4 days later. So she's crisscrossing the country. Houston, San Francisco, Atlanta, DC, Chicago, Durham, North Carolina. Interesting. Birmingham, Alabama. Also interesting. Then she's going to the UK. So she's going from Alabama to the UK. They didn't put a location yet in October. And then she's taking a couple of weeks off. Then she's going to November. In November, she's going to Portland. Then Toronto. Interesting. She's going to Canada, Toronto. Then Nashville, Tennessee. I know we got some Tennessee people in here. Y'all going to go see Kamala? Then she's going to be in Miami at the Ziff Opera House. Oh, I know where that is. With Books and Books. So the Opera House is not far from me. Opera House is a big venue. So this is she's going to be at big venues. Kamala's going to sell a lot of books. Now, the quality of the book, I ain't saying shit about. But how many books she's going to sell? The answer is a lot. She's going to sell a ton of books. Now, are people actually going to read the book? That one is highly doubtful. So, Dean Dangerous says, this is deeply embarrassing analysis. I like your funny words, Magic Man. I got a question, just a rhetorical question. Why do people use the word embarrassing when they don't like something that somebody else is saying? Embarrassment is a state of mind. You cannot assign a state of mind to another person. I Am Legend says, saying a lot of nothing. Is that like a personal attack or something? Mel said, you forgot about Microsoft being a huge business. What about Microsoft? What did I say about them? Louis Tramo said, people putting out false medical information should be fact-checked. Like who? Who are you talking about? Dina's Doe, good morning. Thank you for the share. Dean Dangerous said he joined Trump because he knew Trump would give him what he wants. Well, he joined Trump because Trump was in power, and you got to align with who's in power when you run a company that big. And that's why he joined Trump. And also, you're talking about Elon, I'm supposing. Elon said, you listen to him on the Joe Rogan show, he showed that the Biden-Harris administration was starting to threaten his companies and the future of his businesses. So he got on the Trump side to make sure that they didn't win. And he knew if he put enough money in it, he might be able to help. And we know what happened. He did. Trizzy said, the people are eating the cats and dogs of the people. Yes, Trump said that, and you still remember it. Dean said, threatening the future how? Listen to him on Rogan. He explained it in more detail than I am. Lil Jen said Elon joined Trump to avoid legal issues. Well, you can call it a legal issue. If the government says they're going to come down on you, I think that qualifies as a legal issue. So I think you're right. Well, thanks for the follow. Mental Libtard said, appreciate your truthful commentary. Thank you. I Am Legend said, if he's doing nothing wrong, he wouldn't have to worry. That's not true. I Am Legend 2477. You ever heard of the saying, show me the man, I will show you the crime? If the United States government right now, assuming that you're an American, the United States government decided that they want to get you, they will find a crime against you, even if you, quote unquote, were doing nothing wrong. So this is a false idea that if you do nothing wrong, nothing's going to happen to you. If someone wants to get you, they'll get you. If you become famous enough and known enough, they'll find a way to get you, even if they got to make something up. Lil Jen said, Elon robbed our country blind. What did he take? If he robbed us, tell us what he took. Dean Dangerous, I see you have a lot to say, but I've read a couple of your comments, but you ain't really saying nothing. So you got to come with some substance if you want more attention. Boss said, go away, you need help.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Jacqueline Sophia London said, we went to Target because they were inclusive. They cost more. We spent more because of DEI. Bad move.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
Jacqueline, I don't believe you. I don't think you went to Target because they were inclusive. And you might be telling the truth, but I don't believe you. You went to Target because they were inclusive. I don't know about that. There's a lot of places inclusive that you don't shop. So why Target? Love, thank you for the rose and the masquerade. Thank you for the gifts. I see you in there. Thank you. Party Mama said, allegedly look at the stock market and see how their stocks are doing. I don't know what you're responding to. Dan Townsend says, sounds like capitalism. Yes, it is. Love said, I'm new here. Thank you. Lori said, I usually spend $5,000 a year at Target. Haven't been this year at all. Why didn't you go, Lori? Now, Lori, I'm going to make a guess because I'm looking at your name on here and you have is that the flag of Ukraine you have in your name there? Are you Ukrainian, Lori? If not, why do you have that flag in your name? Rick Willis said, gosh, we have to earn our way to make money and make a business successful without DEI. Okay, fair enough. Party Mama said, when the conservatives got angry, their stock didn't go down. Party Mama, yes, it did. Their stock's been going down for at least 5 years. They only shows me the last 5 years, but yes, it did. So just to, y'all want to talk about facts? Here's your fact check. Is that in 2020, August of 2020, it was the height of everything. Their stock price is $150. Then it went up for about a year, and then it started dropping again. And by the summer of 2022, it was down, then up, and then it started dropping even more starting around 2020, late 2023. It was around $150 again. Mind you, they're still doing DEI stuff. And it dropped all of 2023, went down to about $100, drop. And then it went back up and now it's back down again. Now it's back to about $150. So their peak was about 250-ish. That was in 2021. But then it started dropping. You got to look at it. If you look at it out of a big picture, here's the big picture of Target stock all time. So their highest point was about 2021 in the summer. Ever since then, it's been going down. If you zoom out. So it depends on how detailed you want to look at it. But yes, it did drop. And you can still not have your stock price drop immediately. That doesn't mean that your stock price is not being affected. As I said at the beginning of this live, don't know if you were here, Party Mama, is that sometimes the stock price is a leading indicator, sometimes a trailing indicator. Meaning something that you do right now in 2025, your stock price may not show the result of that until 2027. That's the way it can work. Announcing something on Monday does not necessarily mean your stock price is going to drop on Tuesday. So a lot of times people can't see past their noses and they think whatever happened now is a result of something that happened yesterday. Often it's something that happened 5 years ago. Susanna Flores, thank you for the share. Boss said, you still support Cheeto. I don't even know who Cheeto are. You referring to Donald Trump?
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Glam Terry Beauty said they need to get rid of asking whether you are female or male or asking what race you are in applications. Applications to what? Lil J said their sales didn't take that hit until they got rid of DEI. As I just explained, Lil J, that your stock price is not always a response to something that just happened recently. Often is a response to something that happened a long time ago. Leading indicator, trailing indicator. Sometimes a trailing indicator can trail by years or months, not necessarily days or weeks. And a lot of people don't understand that. So they tend to correlate anything that happens close to each other as this caused this. Correlation and causation are not always the same thing. Or they're not the same thing. But people often correlate things just because they're close in proximity when that did not even cause this. Rory said, what's your educational background? I have a 4-year college degree. What does that have to do with anything? 901 Consulting said, don't forget to speak on Pastor Jamal Bryant and his protests. Now, I have forgotten to speak about that, and I won't speak about it. Shenanigans said, a lot of straight white people are boycotting too. I'm one of them. Okay, fair enough. Where are you shopping at instead? JB, thanks for the follow. Lil J said, they didn't get rid of DEI. This wouldn't even be a conversation right now. Oh, of course it would, as I already explained. Say said, well, Target was a great place to shop anyway, so buy Target. Haven't been in a Target in 10 years. Well, what happened 10 years ago, Says, that caused you to stop going to Target? Mel said, what is DEI? Stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. But don't spam my comments. But heck, good morning, said, businesses should stay neutral. We shouldn't know which side they support, sell to all. Well, theoretically, that sounds like a good idea, but heck, but when you're at that position that Target's in, they kind of got their hand forced. Their hand was forced. Cash Walken said, coach doesn't stay on the staff like the CEO stays on the board. CEO doesn't always stay on the board. Depends on who the CEO is and how much power they have. So sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not. Georgia Girl says, a business owner are hired the most qualified person regardless of race or LGBTQ status. Well, Georgia Girl, I would think that most business owners would probably say the same thing. Now, are they always telling the truth? No, I don't think you're lying, but every business owner would say that. Now, again, we had to take that with a grain of salt. Makita Ruger on Instagram said, I remember when we used to go live on Periscope. Been here for a minute. Yeah, shout out to the people who used to watch me on Periscope. That was like 2015. That's where I first started going live. Will Avila said, that's why companies should always stay neutral like in the past. Yeah, well, a lot of things have changed. I understand why companies are basically had their hands tied now. They have to say something even if they don't want to. B. Miller said, the media dictates how the public perceives your business is the same way they can dictate how the public views a professional athlete. Generally correct. Over there, JoJo said, do you think going to college is still worth it? It's too broad of a question. Depends on who the person is and what college they're going and why they're going. So I need those 3 data points to answer that question. Generally speaking, let me speak for myself. If I had a chance to go back to college again, let's just say I was college age again, and I had a chance to go again, would I do it? The answer is yes. Why? Because my aim, even coming into college, was I was trying to make it as a professional athlete. And being that I wasn't LeBron James or Kobe Bryant, I wasn't good enough to become a pro out of high school. I needed 4 more years of seasoning to get good enough to maybe make it as an athlete. So I needed that 4 years regardless. So if I was to go back to college again, I've said this many times, this is not new. 3 things I would do differently. Number 1, I would play more basketball, so I'd be more prepared to go pro. Number 2, I would go to more parties and do more socializing. And number 3, I would date more females. Date. Y'all figure that one out. So is it worth it? Me personally, yes. Dejany said, you're the weapon formed against your own race. You undermine the movement, bro. What you mean you a customer of Target?
Is that like a personal attack or something? Strawberry cheesecake.
So Dejany, you got both at the same time. I'm a weapon for. How am I a weapon against my own race? By shopping at Target. Tell me, what am I doing to hurt black people by shopping at Target? Please explain that. Punky Pink said you just sell for $6. Yes, and I explained that. You probably said it right in the middle of my explanation. Carla, Indiana, good morning. KB said, great chapstick example. Thank you. Marty C. Fu said, what's the fix? Well, if there was an easy fix, again, I might be the CEO of Target right now. All right, there is no easy fix. No matter what you do, you're pissing somebody off. Will Snell, thank you for the file. So a lot of you like my example with the chapstick. Thank you. Trizzy said, consultants do nothing. They're overpaid executives to drive companies to the ground.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Well, Trizzy, if you believe that, you might as well become a consultant and collect a whole bunch of money and do nothing. I mean, if you really think that's what a consultant does, they collect a bunch of money and do nothing. Why not be a consultant? What do you do for a living, Trizzy? Don't tell me you're a consultant. Roderick Dell, thank you for the share. Marty C said, I agree with 100% with your target assessment. Thank you. The One, thank you for the follow. Karina said, I'll never forget their tucked swimsuits for children. I didn't even know about that, but I knew people were kind of pissed off about what they were selling. I don't do the shopping for kids' clothes. Ann Grammatico said, you do such great explanation. Great listening to you. Well, thank you, Ann. Loyalty Movement said, they won't hire you for you are giving them free game and they are listening. All right, maybe they are. Target, congratulations on the free game. You're welcome for the free game. All right, give me some free paper towels. Paper towels like $33 a pack. You buy 3 packs of paper towels, $100. Trizzy, all conservatives are heterosexual white men. Oh, well, I didn't say that.
I like your funny words, Magic Man. Strawberry cheesecake.
Woogie says, so as a black man, you would say ignore the fact that an unarmed black man was unalived.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
So this is a straw man and it's a ad hominem. So you said as a black man. So you're trying to pin me into a corner that by being a black man, there's a certain opinion that I'm supposed to have or certain opinions that I'm allowed or not allowed to have. That's rejected, first of all. You don't tell me what I'm allowed to say or think, regardless of my identity. And secondly, you said you would say, which means you're about to put me into a corner with a Socratic trap or a false binary and give me a handful of options that you have chosen and then tell me to choose amongst the options that you control. That's not the way it works around here. So nice try, Woogie, but this is a fail. Eska said, being Republican has nothing to do with race or LGBT. I wouldn't say it has nothing to do with it. I wouldn't say it is everything. I wouldn't say it completely correlates, but I say there is often a connection. The Real Concrete Doctor said, Jordan said, everyone buys my shoes. Well, Jordan said he never said that, but I know what you're talking about. He said Republicans buy sneakers too, allegedly. Jordan said he never said that, but people often ascribe that comment to him. Carla, Indiana, with the gifter badge. Thanks for moving up. User LB Love, thank you for the follow. Carla, thank you for the GOAT. Beach Living said, unlike Costco, Target caved to Trump's demands on DEI. Oh, that's right. You're right about that because I saw the Reverend Al Sharpton, the godfather of race hustling. He was doing they had the buy-in. He called it a buy-in, where Reverend Al Sharpton and a whole bunch of foolish black people who, for whatever reason, decide to follow Reverend Al Sharpton. They're foolish just because they're following him. I don't care who they are as people. They followed Reverend Al Sharpton. They went into a Costco, and their thing was, we're going to spend money in Costco, and we're going to call the TV networks and have the cameras come film us doing it because we want to make a show, a virtue signal of we're spending money in Costco because Costco stuck with their DEI policies when Target dropped their DEI policies. This is just straight up race hustling, virtue signaling done by the godfather of race hustling and virtue signaling known as the Reverend Al Sharpton. So, yeah, you're right about that. That is correct what you said. Anthony Scotto called me Lex Luthor. Is that a compliment or a ridicule? What is that?
Is that like a personal attack or something?
Robert Jackson, thank you for the follow. The Real Huckleberry said, inflation is a direct cause of government overspending and nothing else. I wouldn't say nothing else, but directionally you're correct. Mary M said, I refuse to pay $5 for a slice of banana nut bread at Starbucks. Well, if you go to Starbucks, you ain't got no choice but to pay $5. Loyalty Movements and Michael, thank you for the follow. Aaron Grammatico, Ashley, Carol Ann Collins, thank you. Indiana Homegirl said, also, Walmart has stepped up their home decor game. Indiana Homegirls, I will take your word for it. I'm not a Walmart shopper. Sue Smith said, I don't shop at Target, I shop at thrift stores. I get it. I understand. Carla said, Target did the affirming swimsuits in the bathroom dressing room thing. Now, see, I didn't know about this. I heard about it, but I didn't see it. I don't actually go into the store at Target that often. And if I go, men shop differently than women, so I wouldn't notice these kind of things. But I believe all of you. I heard about this stuff. I didn't see it. Live Free said, Dre, America is priced out of America. All that stuff is made in the C country. Well, it's been like that for a long time. I get it. Urban Greek said 2025 is a year of CEOs losing their job. Now, Urban Greek, not quite, because every CEO who gets fired, what do? They hire a different one. So, I mean, CEOs always get fired. This is not a new thing. Live Free said corporations are the same in any government. Yes, but they also had to capitulate to what the government says for the most part because they don't have a choice. Carla, thank you for the share. More than 10 friends. Urban Greek said, what CEOs don't understand the average consumer having changed spending habits tremendously. You're also going to need money or capital on hand to get your idea started. It depends on what the idea is, Urban Geek. You can start many ideas and make money with no money or capital up front to start a business. You can start a coaching business with no money. You can start a personal training business with no money. You can start a dog walking business with no money. So not every business requires money up front to start. Greg Adams says sales number or misinformation, profit numbers are what matters. Well, a lot of things matter. It's not any handful of things that any of you could fit into a comment. That's the only thing that matters. Urban Greek said big box stores will all face the same unfortunate ending. What's the unfortunate ending and when is it going to happen, Urban Greek? What you said sounds good, but you're giving yourself a whole lot of leeway to be right. So I need you to nail yourself down to what's the ending going to be and when is it going to happen? Duke's mom said 100 years ago I worked at Old Navy and we had to open our bags and show the manager before we left. I remember things like that. I never worked at a place where they would do it like that, but if you work inside a place, you can come up with creative ways to steal stuff besides that. And I've heard some things, but I'm not going to say anything on camera. Domo said, facts. I was an undercover store detective for 2 years. 37% of thefts were employees. I believe that. Husky said, the people in control stealing everything. Sounds familiar. All right, fair enough. I'll give you that one. Mary said, tips drive people out of their businesses too. What does that mean? Greg said, if you billions of dollars in sales and no profit. Well, this happens all the time, Greg, in the small margin industries. Like the grocery store industry has very thin margins, meaning you could sell $1 million worth of stuff, but you only bring home $50,000. The margins are extremely thin. It could be smaller than that. So when you get economies of scale, so let's say every $1 million you sell, you make 50 grand. So if I sell $1 million, only made $50,000, you might as well go get a job. All that work only made 50 grand. But if I sell 2 million, I made 100,000. If I sell 20 million, I may multiply that by 10. What is that? $1 million. So if you get economies of scale and you make a whole lot of sales, but you have a small margin, you still make a whole lot of money. So it's just a matter of what kind of business you want to be in. So you could go either direction. I can see arguments for either side. Pearl of the World, thank you for the follow. Urban Greek said the minority dollar is keeping most businesses afloat. Urban Greek, I don't know about that. What kind of business are we talking? Now, I think some businesses, you're right about that. I wouldn't say that. Actually, it depends on what you mean by minority. I need to get clarity. What do you mean by minority dollar? Minority, you mean anyone other than white people? Then I would say, well, then I can understand because there's a whole lot of people who ain't white in America and the number's only growing. Clarity Cowgirl said, nothing is locked up in Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's I actually like. I do like going inside of a Trader Joe's, and Trader Joe's doesn't have a way that you can order online. So if you want Trader Joe's, you got to go in there. Or I guess you could use one of the third-party apps like Instacart. I don't like those. I don't like using third-party anything. I either want to order directly from you or I'll go in the store myself. But I don't like third-party because there's no accountability. And I don't like that. Mel said, no, they don't. They don't do that in business. You can't blame the previous CEO. Yeah, I said that already. I think you commented too quickly. Colin said, you like a young Alfonso Ellis. I remember him. I don't know. Is that a compliment or...
Is that like a personal attack or something?
I don't know if that's a compliment or not. Double S said, Mr. Bryant got fired because of his DEI policies which led to boycotting and profits decline. Who's Mr. Bryant? Oh, Brian. He's the CEO of Target currently. Right now, his name is Brian. And that's not why he got fired. No, he got fired because the stock price is down and politics demand that he gets fired. It's not because of his DEI policy. It's not his policy. The board of directors decides whether they're going to do what they're going to do. Then they tell the CEO, this is what we're going to do. He gets to make some decisions. I don't think he made that decision. That's a board level decision. That's not a CEO level decision. Austin Bigby, thank you for the follow. Wolf Bite said, till the new one leaves woke like the last one. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this is all a cycle. Urban Greek said, Target core base was middle-aged women. They isolated them. Bad move. Well, it depends on what type of middle-aged woman. Target's target customer is a homemaking, suburban, white female who has kids at home. Stay-at-home, white, suburban mom. That's Target's target customer. Chelsea says CEO sacrifice to save Target. Love it. Yeah, they all sacrifice CEOs. Every CEO is a sacred cow that could be slaughtered. Awesome, baby. Thank you for the share. Mel said women are driven by emotions, men are driven by logic. Mel, generally you're correct, but these days there are more and more men who have the energy of females. One reason is because we don't have men in the homes anymore. So men are growing up as males, but they have the emotions of women because they don't have a man around to demonstrate. Urban Greek said, white CEOs. I lost my spot here. Where was I? I lost my spot. Urban Greek said, white CEOs need black dollars. That's just a fact. I don't know about that, Urban Greek. That's not just a fact. I got to be careful with these terms. That's just a fact for several reasons. Number one, a fact does not mean the truth. I can give you a fact, but the fact can be completely irrelevant to the truth of the situation. Secondly, need black dollars. I would not go that far. I think they appreciate black dollars because why not? But that's just a fact, as if that's the end of the story. I wouldn't go that far. It's a nice little verbal sleight of hand that you did there, but that's not enough. Mary said, already straw man comments. Yeah, we got plenty of them. Dr. Mudd, thank you for the share. Diamond Art Cheryl, thank you for the follow. Loyalty Movement said, Target won't hire you for you are giving them free game and they're listening. All right, let's go. I don't need Target to hire me. I'm not campaigning for a job at Target. And yeah, let's just leave it at that. Mr. House, they said back-to-back straw mans. That has to be a record. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had back-to-back straw mans to start. Offer said facts don't matter because people can be selective in picking facts that they want to check, and you're asking that as a question. The answer is correct. That's right. That's the reason why facts don't matter. That's one reason facts don't matter. Another reason facts don't matter is that you can manufacture your own facts. Another reason facts don't matter is that if you hear a fact that you are uncomfortable with, you can look around online very quickly. Within 5 minutes, you can find a counter fact that assuages your emotions about the fact that you just heard that you didn't like. That's why facts don't matter, because anybody could just throw out a fact and we can just go back and forth throwing facts at each other and never come to a conclusion, and neither person is ever convinced of anything different. So this is why facts don't matter anymore. Let's get the likes up, folks. We're at 78,000. Let's get to 100K in the next 19 minutes. We'll end this at 10 o'clock. We'll be ending promptly at 10 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. Joseph Neto said, dude, Trump is by far the best president in history as far as accomplishments. Okay. I didn't say he was good or bad. Teresa said, no, they were not fact-checked. For God's sakes, she said we didn't have any soldiers in any war zones. So now there's an argument as to whether they were fact-checked at all. I don't remember them being fact-checked at all. If they were fact-checked, it was much less than the fact checks of the Republicans. There's a fact for you right there. They did not fact-check the Democratic nominee as much as they fact-checked the Republican nominee. And I think everybody can agree to that. Whether they fact-checked them at all or they fact-checked them a little bit, it damn sure wasn't equal to the amount they fact-checked others, even though both combatants in the debates said things that were factually inaccurate. So the moderators were picking and choosing what to fact-check. And they picked and chose a lot more on the right than they did on the left. Ashley Mack says, stores are dirty, lacking customer service, and trying to support local when I can. Okay, fair enough. I don't even think about that, but I understand a lot of people do. Douglas said, Trump is not the best president. Quit being simple. I never said Trump was the best president. That's a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Double S says, Target shares went from 140 to 94 after it changed their DEI policy. Yes, and as I already explained, sometimes a trailing indicator is a result of something that happened years before, not something that happened 3 weeks ago. So again, many of you keep throwing this out there. This is a straw man.
Strawberry cheesecake.
Because you are assuming that Target's down stock price is just because of the news item headline that you heard about. You don't know anything about their supply chain issues, their tariffs issues, their cost issues, their staffing issues. You have no idea if any of those things have anything to do with their stock price being down. Everyone wants to assume that it's because of the headline that you saw on the news. Do y'all understand that the headlines you see on the news are not the entire story ever? So just because that came on the news does not mean that's the very reason why the next thing you heard on the news is why it happened. That's called the PSYOP. The psyop, ladies and gentlemen, is when the news tells you one thing, then the next day they tell you another thing, and then they say to you, well, look at this, everybody. We told you this yesterday. Now this is happening today. That must mean that what's happening today is because of what happened yesterday. That's literally how they fooled everybody during the virus in 2020. Y'all haven't learned this yet? One thing happening today does not necessarily mean it's because of what happened yesterday. Please understand that. It doesn't mean that it had nothing to do with it, but it also doesn't mean it's the main reason why it happened. Sue Smith said, yes, I'll be in ATL. Courtney said, heck no. Teresa said, Trump has achieved more in 7 months than did Biden his whole 4 years. Well, one thing we can say about Trump is that Trump has taken more questions from the press in 7 months than Biden did his whole 4 years. That one, I'll clap for myself for saying that. Joe Biden didn't take any questions from the press for 4 years. Now, that one is true. Ashley Mack said, will Kamala hire people to attend these book signings? I think Kamala has fans. Let's be clear, Ashley. All right.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
That's a little bit of an ad hominem, Ashley. I got to give you that one for that. Now, I get it. I get you're joking at the same time, so you get this one too.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
Kamala has fans. She got 20 million followers on social media. She was the nominee for the Democrats for president in 2024. She has a ton of fans. So she will fill venues to do her book signings. And she's not doing these book signings at bookstores, by the way. She's doing these book signings at event venues. So there's going to be a ton of people at these just because of who she is and the status that she currently holds, and because a lot of people think she might run in 2028. So this is really just a lead up to her 2028 campaign. She's going to run. So y'all shouldn't get too cocky about Kamala. She might end up being a nominee in 2028. Blee said, was it threatening or regulations? Well, those can be the same thing. That's not either or. Trev Time said, good morning, Dre. Thanks. I appreciate your work. Thank you. Dave the God said, why? Why what? Shell said, Fax Man just arrested in D.C. for filming ICE. Well, it depends on the context of what he was doing. Was he told to stop doing it? Was he getting too close? I need details. Duke's mom said, virtue signal. Yes. We are living in a Sims. Follow. Thank you for the follow. Kim Snow said, I haven't been to Target. Too many other options. Like what? What are your other options? And what are you buying? And what are the other options? Good morning. Duke's mom said, maybe stores could just sell us stuff and get out of the politics business. Well, as I explained here today, there's a reason why they get in the business. We're 85,000 likes, folks. Can we get to 90K? Can we get to 90,000 likes before I answer any more comments? Let's get to 90,000 likes on TikTok. All of y'all in here watching, tap the screens. 123 people in here watching. We can get to 90,000 likes within the next 30 seconds if y'all just tap the screen. If you're on TikTok, just tap the screen. Tap the screen. Y'all tap the screens on your phones 3,000 times a day. The extra 100 right here won't hurt you. Tap the screen, everybody. Let's get to 90,000 likes. I want to pull a Kevin Samuels on y'all. Actually, I'm pulling a Kevin Samuels right now. Those of you don't know who he is. Kevin Samuels is a guy who used to do live streams mostly on YouTube. He passed away like 3 years ago. He wasn't talking what I'm talking about. He would talk about relationships and such. But anytime he was watching he would look at the likes on his live. If he didn't like how many likes he had, he would stop talking. He would put on some intermission music and tell people, get the likes up before I keep going. So that's what I'm doing right now. I don't have music. So that's the next thing we need. We need intermission music. Let's see if they have it on here. I'm looking in this app. Intermission music. Oh, here it is. No, they don't have that. So. All right, I think that'll be our intermission music. I like that. That'll be the intermission music. And let me see if I can find one more. We'll try it. That's going to be the intermission music for now, unless I see something better. No. No. Oh, maybe this one. Okay, so now we get back to where we were. All right, so now we got our intermission music. All right, so now if there's not enough likes, then y'all gonna hear this. right, so now we got our intermission music. All right, so this whole thing is coming together, folks. Only took us a year. So let's see. Tiffany M Music said DEI didn't earn it. Yeah, I know people used to say that. Caricature said, did Al Sharpton hurt Target? No, Al Sharpton was just getting a photo op. That's what he does. That's the business he's in. We can't knock his hustle. I can knock his hustle, but I'm not going to knock his hustle. That's the business Al Sharpton is in. He's been doing it for 40 years. He's consistent, if nothing else. XTR said Target's prices are too high and their buyers are terrible. Well, XTR, I get what you're saying about the prices, but what do you mean their buyers are terrible? What does that mean? Target has like millions of customers, so who are you talking about? Mel said facts. K-Mac, thank you for the share. Teresa said, we really need more blue-collar workers. My son is in an electrical internship, which is a great job. Teresa, you're right about that. But a lot of people, the world that we're in today, and I'm speaking on a more of a micro level, this is a macro issue, is that a lot of kids are growing up, Teresa, looking at the internet, and they want to do what they see on the internet. They want to be an influencer or a YouTuber or a podcaster or a streamer. These are not blue-collar jobs. But blue-collar work, first of all, it's an honest day's pay. You learn to actually work with your hands. It's often very steady and secure money because you're doing something that is always going to be in demand. And the challenge with it these days is that a lot of people don't even know it as an option because they're looking at the internet or they're looking at academia and they think they want to do knowledge work. Knowledge work looks like easier work because you're just talking. You're not physically having to do anything. There's no physical labor involved. The problem is knowledge work is, on some levels, depending on what it is, becoming less valuable simply because AI, Chat GPT, et cetera, are replacing these things. So I froze over on my Instagram. Froze. I don't know what happened. My Instagram is frozen. We'll see if it comes back. What happened? Instagram. So my Instagram just went frozen, and now it's coming back. I'll be back on Instagram. I don't know what's happening. My Instagram froze. I don't know what happened. But let's continue. So you're right, Teresa. I agree with you. Wolf Snoopy said, Target offered delivery options similar to Amazon. They can make up revenue on the online side. Well, similar to Amazon would mean maybe next day. Target's getting close. Right now, their delivery is like, if I order from Target right now, I'll probably get it on Thursday. Thing is, they're not pulling it straight from the store. That's the reason why it takes longer. They pull it from a warehouse somewhere. They're not going in the store, grabbing it, and then putting it in the truck. Amazon, theirs is more direct. And also, well, I think you might be talking about, well, you said Amazon. So Whole Foods, now you can get that the same day. Doc said the left screen, the right is a cult, and then complain when someone is not following their cult rules. True. Tiffany, so I got to give you a clap for that. That's true. Tiffany in Music said, companies need to appeal to conservative consumers. We're the ones with the jobs and the money.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
I get what you're saying there, Tiffany, but that is kind of a appeal to ridicule. So you still get that. Mermaid Marilyn, thank you for the follow. Teresa said, I hate when people try to put people in corners. Only certain groups can have a specific opinion. Yeah, well, that's how the world is right now. You're right. I get what you're saying, but that's how the world is right now. And I don't see that changing too much. All right, we got like 5 minutes here, folks. Then we'll wrap this up. Karina said, people believe Al Sharpton too, SMH. Yeah, Al Sharpton got fans. Al Sharpton got a 40-year track record of doing things. So people who align with Al, at least he's consistent. That's one thing we can say about Mr. Sharpton. Manny, thank you for the follow. Teresa said, especially when I can make banana nut bread better. Okay, well, if you can make it at home, that's a whole different story. I get it. Teresa said, having companies pledge to build in the U.S. improves our economy, provides jobs. This is true. I talked about this when Trump talked about the tariffs. Mary said, tip culture is too much. You get a drink for $2 and they want to tip for $1. Yes, and my answer is always no. I do not tip. Carla said, can we get some goat gifts? Yeah, can we get some goat gift? Teresa said, he didn't get fired. Who are you talking about? You talking about the CEO of Target? He got fired. Now, he's technically stepping down, but he got fired. Annie, thank you for the share. Teresa said, maybe true for most women, not all. What are you referring to? Teresa said, please let her be the nominee. We'll win in a landslide. I wouldn't get too cocky too quick, Teresa. Depends on who she's running against. And it's the third time's a charm for her. So I wouldn't get too cocky too quick. Angela Davis, thank you for the follow. Karen said, too out. What's too out? Oh, the intermission music. Someone said, try the Jeopardy theme song. Karen said, too loud compared to your voice. Oh, well, if I play the music, I won't be talking. If I play the music, I'm specifically playing it because I'm not talking. That's the whole point of the music. The point of the music is to not talk so that y'all know we need to get the likes up. So we did do 100K. So I appreciate everybody for us getting up to 100K. But that's the music for now. That's the music. Listen, here's the thing, everybody. If you don't want to hear that music, just get the likes up. If the likes are up, I'll never have to play the music. If I play the music because the likes are not up. If the likes are up, you will never hear the music. Teresa, thank you for the follow. Sue Smith said, like it. Carolyn said, I love Target's online order store pickup. Me too. So the last time I did Target, I went and did the pickup because I wanted it that day. So it usually takes like 3 hours-ish. You order at 8 o'clock, by about 11 is ready. I went and picked it up. So you order it, then you tell it you're going to pick it up at the store. It tells you the order's ready. You drive up, and then they have specific parking lots just for pickup. And then you pull up, and you go in the app, and you say, I'm at spot number 4. Then somebody comes out the back with all your stuff in the cart, and they put it in the car for you, and then you drive off. They scan your barcode to make sure you're the right person. Then they put it in your your car, and then you drive off. You got all your stuff, and you never had to walk in the store. You just drove over there. They put it in the truck for you, or the car, or the trunk, and then you drive off. So I do like that too, Carolyn. I agree. Caricature Creations, thank you. We got 2 minutes here, folks. Then we'll wrap this up. Mary said, do you sell clothing merchandise? No, I don't. Not right now. I have in the past, but I don't right now. King Mario, the creator, said, what's your occupation? I run a company called Work on Your Game Incorporated. What we do here is help people master presence, command of the room. Do that through systems, discipline, performance, and accountability. You can learn more by going to the links in my profile. So now I got through all the comments. Let me tell you all how you can get entry points into my world. You can get a free copy of my book called The Third Day, The Decision That Separates the Pros from the Amateurs. The book's free, just cover the shipping. This book's all about how you show up and give your best effort when you least feel like it. Everybody needs this. Every professional needs this, because if you're a pro, there will come a day guaranteed that you don't feel like working, but you have to work. This book is all about what do you do on that day? How do you get ready for that day? And how do you make sure you power through those days with your best energy and do it all the time? That's how you play at the highest level. ThirdDayBook.com. ThirdDayBook.com. Book's free. Just cover the shipping. Another one that we have that people have been liking is The Mirror of Motivation. Decision That Separates the Pros. No, that's that one. This is the self-guide to self-discipline. This book is all about how do you become the person you need to be so you can do what you need to do, have what you need to have. It's called The Mirror of Motivation, because this book is not about me motivating you. This book is about me helping you look in the mirror and give yourself the pep talk, give yourself the frame that you need to be your best version of yourself. That will lead to your actions. The actions lead to the outcomes. Get this book by going to mirrorofmotivation.com. Again, the book is free. Just cover the shipping. Those of you who are into sales, business, or entrepreneurship, the Sales Discipline System. This is my latest release. Get this book for free as well. salesdisciplinebook.com. This book is all about how you have the 8 key disciplines of top salespeople in any industry. Say goodbye to up and down months and inconsistent habits. So any of you in sales, entrepreneurship, this book is great for your sales teams. If you have a sales team that you lead, if you have a sales organization, or you just want to step your own sales game up, salesdisciplinebook.com. Salesdisciplinebook.com. Any one of these books is free. Just cover the shipping. Salesdisciplinebook.com, mirrormotivation.com, ThirdDayBook.com. And if you just go to the link in my profile, those of you watching on TikTok, go to the link in my profile, my bio, and there's a page that has links to all of these books. So you don't have to remember those links. I don't have to tell it to you again. Just go to the link in my profile. We have links to all of those books right there on that page. Let's workonyourgame.live. Mary said, you need a t-shirt that looks like a suit with your brand. I'd buy it. Well, I don't really wear t-shirts that often. So that's why I wouldn't. If I was to sell merch, it'd be something that I actually wear. Now, outside of my work time, you'll see me in casual clothing, but usually just a plain white t-shirt or tank top in the summertime and a snapback hat. Like you see those hats up there. So I appreciate it. Caricature, Mary, I appreciate it. Ashley, Matt, CC. Thank you to my moderators, my regulars who are always in here. Thanks to everybody for liking the live. I'm here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern. So if you like this one, come back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern. If you didn't like this one, come back tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern. The topic is to be determined always. I never know exactly what I'm going to talk about. We just pick a topic based on what's happening in the news or anywhere. Otherwise, just go to, what am I talking about? Go to workonyourgame.live to get the links to that stuff. Somebody sent me a text. I just had to read it real quick. And I'll be here tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern, everybody. So make sure you follow me on at least one other application: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble Studio. The replays are always on YouTube. I will see you all tomorrow morning. We are out of here. Everybody have a great Monday. Work on your game. And we'll play the exit music. We'll call this the exit music too as we get out of here. Where's the music?